funny if I wasn't wearing any shorts, wouldn't it?
Hello, I hope you're all doing well today. I thought I would start filming this video now because I am sitting amongst absolute chaos currently. The flat is so messy. It actually looks better on camera than it is in real life, but I am gonna try and have a kind of like end of month going into February reset. I started this year with a really big reset and I felt so good for it. And I'll talk about it more as we get into the video, but I think for that reason, I've managed to stay on top of my plant care so much more than normal this month. And I've just felt really positive and good. And so even though I don't particularly want to do this, I'm gonna make myself do it and then we can do some fun planty things together. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, so this video is probably going to be some plant-related cleaning, organisation, getting things on moss poles, some repotting, just kind of general plant choresy things that I have potentially been putting off a little bit. So yes, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So I thought I would just sit down and have a cup of coffee and find my strength to begin the tidying because, oh my goodness, I got the flat to such a good level of cleanliness like literally a couple of weeks ago. And I always feel like at the time I'm like, yep, I will 100% keep on top of this. It seems really easy to keep on top of for the first like day or two. And you're like, why do I ever let myself fall out of this? And then I think particularly when you've got lots of plants and you start doing stuff with soil and pond gets spilt and all sorts, it just gets messy so quickly and it has just spiraled. I don't know if you can see how bad it is behind me, but Ross made a really nice roast for dinner last night and I still haven't cleaned up from that. I said I would and I haven't done it. I've got lots of plant stuff mixed in with coffee cups and a bottle of hair mousse and all sorts. So yeah, I'm gonna begin by just getting on top of this room because this is 100% the space that gets just so overcrowded so quickly. And I just feel like that will help me to, like, having space to work in, doing stuff with plants, I feel like I'm able to then give my full attention to those plants and actually like look at the issues for what they are and not overlook things. Because yeah, as I say, going into this year, I know I did a couple of kind of much bigger, longer reset videos, and it's something that like I think I've kind of done little bits and bobs of it before, but often also I'm just very conscious that I'm like, will people want to see that sort of stuff? Like, do you guys care if I'm organising my cupboard of chaos or whatever? But it seems from the feedback I've got from you, it seems like it's helping you to also get on and do your stuff. So I'm really glad because my God, is it motivating me? And as I said at the beginning, I have gone into this year just, I think, kind of falling in love with plant care, which is such a wonderful feeling because it's not that it's not that I think I fell out of love with it, but you know how, and I was actually saying this to someone the other day, but how creativity sometimes kind of cycles and you can't always force it. I think because I was dealing with a bit of burnout towards the end of last year, I kind of forgot how absolutely freaking wonderful it can be when I'm just loving it. And I feel like this year so far, I've just been appreciating my plants in a way that I feel like I haven't done in a while. My collection's just been really exciting me again. And I think the mental shift of having, I know I keep calling it a reset. I'm sure there's another word for it, but for me, a reset just feels like a good word to use. Yeah, there's just something about having a reset and being able to kind of look at everything with a fresh pair of eyes that is working well for me. So yeah, that is what I'm going to continue with today. And whether or not I film it every single month, I'm definitely gonna attempt to go into every single month this year doing this because I just know it's good for me and the proof is in the pudding. So yeah, right. Let's get on and tackle this awful room and then we can get on with some planty things. I've also been doing lots of plant swappy things with people recently, which has been so lovely. But again, I have just not cleared up afterwards. I'm so good at starting a million things. I'm just never properly finishing them. Hello, superstar. Hi. Hello, little baby. Oh my god, you're so cute. You are so cute. Hi. Hi. She doesn't like it when I'm doing stuff that she doesn't understand. You're such a sweetie. I'm so nearly done. And you know what? This has not taken much time at all. I swear to God, it is literally just like the mental mountain you have to climb to actually make yourself do things sometimes. And when you actually start, then it's fine. It's just the like getting up off your ass and doing it, which is why I feel like doing it on camera or watching someone else doing it is often a really good way to just kind of motivate myself to get on and actually begin doing things myself. Because yeah, as I say, this has not been particularly tedious. And going into plant care, I feel like, although yes, I am going to be making a mess, it just, I don't know, there's just something very underrated, I think, about mental clarity paired with physical clarity in your home. I feel like I'm just going to be able to see everything much better and deal with things in a more effective way. Whether that's all psychological, it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter if it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing planty stuff today. And to be honest, the floor does need a hoover, but I'm not going to bother doing that when I'm going to start doing things with soil. I'm going to leave that until after planty stuff. I don't think that's me putting it off. I feel like that is a sensible decision. Okay, and what I'm gonna do now, and this is something that I've found has been massively helping me this month, is I'm gonna go through my list of planty things. I've got so much better at going around my collection, and when I see something that needs doing, writing it down so I don't forget and I don't let it like go months and months without me dealing with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to find some things on my list that I'm excited about and I'm looking forward to doing, and some that I am not looking forward to doing as much. And I'm going to try and alternate them today so that it doesn't feel too overwhelming. It's not like I'm going into something trying to just tackle the really hard stuff that I don't want to do. Because yeah, I've got a couple of things that I can't really be bothered to do, things that I know I need to do and I don't want to. And then, as I say, I've got some other things that I'm really looking forward to. So I'm just gonna do 2 or 3 to start with, and I'm gonna alternate so that it's more fun. Okay, so seeing as I've just done lots of cleaning and tidying, I'm going to start with something that I'm excited about, and it's putting one of 2 plants. I can't decide which one. I'm going to get them both out and have a look at them, but there's a couple of plants that I want to get onto a moss pole, and I have been sent a very exciting moss pole to try out, so I am really looking forward to doing that. So I'm going to set up and then we can go through that together. And this isn't the plant that I'm gonna put on a moss pole, but I thought I'd just give you a little update. This is the oh, what's it called? Drimonia cherrybagana, I think it is. I included it in my plants that I was really excited to grow this year video. And look at all that new growth. Bearing in mind I only got that plant this month. That's done amazingly in such a short space of time. It's still in moss. I haven't done anything with it yet. And I don't think I'm gonna touch it for the time being. I think I'm just gonna let it continue to acclimate. But yay! So, this is what's been sent across to me, and this is from a company called Unpotted. They're houseplants_unpotted on Instagram, I'm pretty sure. I'll put all their details there and in the description box below. But I saw their moss poles and they look so insanely clever. I know there's some amazing companies right now that are doing stuff with like 3D printing and stuff, and they reached out and they just asked if I'd like to try one, and I obviously said yes because it's very cool, and I haven't got any moss poles like this currently in my collection. And it looks like I'm gonna have to build it myself, so I think it does look quite straightforward to do, but I'm gonna do that first. There are instructions, which is good. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna decide which of these two plants I want to get onto a moss pole. I've got issues, well, not issues, but like qualms with both of these plants that I will talk you through in a minute. But yeah, right, let's build this thing. And so it's very clever. It basically, the moss pole attaches to the back of the pot, and then it's got this little drainage tray that you can then empty out so that you don't overwater your plants. And I'm actually wondering if I could potentially turn this into like a semi-hydro reservoir. I'm not sure if that would work or not. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay, that was genuinely so easy to do. So this is what it currently looks like. So obviously there's no worry about like moss getting into the substrate because it's just like that, like it just starts at the top there. And then this is an extension, so I don't have to make it massive to begin with. I can just extend as I go, which I think is such an awesome idea. Such a cool idea. And there's also a little hook at the back, so if I wanted to hang this on the wall, which to be honest, I'm obviously so limited with wall space here because I've got sloped ceilings, but if I could find a spot, I might consider doing that because I think that would look amazing. So, which of these plants do I want to get in there? So, I've brought across my variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which I'm going to take a look at, but I'm pretty sure has reverted. And my Philodendron penartiolobum, which I absolutely do want to get onto a moss pole. I'm just wondering if firstly I want to chop and propagate it again before I do that, just to kind of get it a little bit fuller. And also if it might need like a bigger moss pole, I'm not sure. Also, I know I said in a video, again I think at the beginning of this month, that Yoli had snapped its biggest and most beautiful leaf. It hasn't died back, so I think if I'm very, very careful, I might still be able to preserve that leaf. But yeah, it's not sizing up at all growing as it is, and it obviously needs something to climb. And in fact, I'm kind of thinking that might work quite well. Although I'm enjoying growing it in semi-hydro, do I... Sorry, this is just all me thinking out loud. I'm like, I don't think that's going to be quite enough for a reservoir, that little tray. I mean, I don't have to grow it in semi-hydro. But then I'm also tempted to chop up the tetrasperma just because, as you can see, it has become completely green. And oh my goodness, I have heard so many people that own the variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma saying that this is the case. I think I probably need to make some cuts lower down if I want to try and preserve this variegation. It might not be possible because it isn't highly variegated, but okay, I think that answers my question. I think I'm going to go with the Philodendron pinnatulobum, and then I might just very quickly come back to the Tetrasperma before I continue with my list, which I am going to stick to. Cool, okay, right, I'm just going to mix up a chunky philodendron mix, bit of bark, bit of perlite, bit of tree fern fibre, because I'm loving that stuff at the moment, and I can feel myself becoming a little obsessive, and I'm going to try not to be, because I know I have the tendency to become obsessive. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and then we can... In fact, you know what I absolutely should do first? I should stuff the moss pole before anything else. And you know what? I can actually put the moss in and then put the grid on top. I didn't realise that. Fabulous. Cool, so that is my moss pole, and I'm just gonna slide it back into my pot. In fact, why am I doing this all now? I should do it in stages, that's so much easier. I'm gonna pot up the philodendron and then I'm gonna attach it to its moss pole. And seeing as I'm going from semi-hydro into a soily mix, I don't really need to worry about getting all the semi-hydro off the roots, because it shouldn't matter at all. It's so nice to see that this plant has got such a big root system. I wasn't sure quite how big it would be. So yeah, I think that will work well in here. Perfect, and I'm not going to fill the soil any higher than that for now. I'm putting it quite low in the plant just because then I don't want its root system to be too overwhelmed going into organic matter. But yeah, now I'm just sliding the moss pole on the back. And they did provide some little clips as well, which I'm pretty sure, I think I can figure this out without the instructions, but I'm pretty sure you just use to help pin the nodes of your plant into the moss and hold it in place. And in fact, the broken leaf, that one there, I can actually just kind of cheat it a little bit, and I can use one of the clips to secure that a little bit so that it doesn't get any worse, and hopefully I'll be able to keep that leaf alive for as long as possible. Amazing. So that is what it's looking like. And I think that looks so gorgeous. I've been so excited to actually properly get this plant going. And yeah, as I say, because I think this one is going to be quite a fast grower, I will just be able to then extend the moss pole and just in theory, I guess, just keep buying the top bits and keep them going and going and going. And the fact that I can hang this on the wall as well, I think is such a cool idea. So yeah, as I say, I will link the lovely people that made the moss pole down below. Because yeah, I'm chuffed with that. Awesome, so I will give that a water through after I've finished filming this section of the video. And while I'm here, I'm just going to take a look at the variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. And this is actually the first time I've taken it out of its little cup. It's just propagating in moss, but I haven't actually taken a proper look at it since I got it. Oh, and I can see it's got really lovely roots. Oh, it's also much bigger. It's grown much bigger than I thought it had, just from looking at it. But yeah, lovely, lovely roots. And there's actually 2 sections here. Okay, and this one on the left, the latest leaf on that had a little bit of variegation, but it's this one that I can't see any on whatsoever. But I think there's something I can do looking at it. So this is the section that I'm pretty sure has reverted. But as you can see, it's got a really good aerial root just there going down to the moss. So in theory, I can just chop that there and this section will be fine and this bottom section will start putting out growth. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do and hope that then, yeah, that then I get some more lovely variegated growth. Let's give that a go. I'm actually looking at it closer and I can see, if you look really closely, that it has already been chopped from there. So I'm guessing, I got this from my lovely friend Lottie, and I'm guessing maybe she chopped it there to try and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to chop it one lower. I'm going to chop it just beneath the point where she chopped it before. Cool. So I've got the section that is most likely going to stay reverted. I'll stick with it, but I don't think it's got stable variegation, so I'm pretty sure this will continue to just grow as a normal tetrasperma, but we will see. And then I've got this little wet stick section now that's very well rooted, and hopefully that will start giving me some variegated growth, seeing as it did have variegated leaves above that point. It's not very easy to see variegation on the stem with this one in the same way as you can with certain other types of plant like Monstera, for example. But we'll give it a go. And bearing in mind, it has just been growing very happily in moss in the cup. I think I might just leave it in there for a little bit longer, you know. I mean, it can't do any harm. And yeah, I will come back to it in, I don't know, a month or so and let you know how it's getting on. Just going to use the exact same moss as before. Amazing. Cool. Right, what is next on my list? Oh, okay. The next thing I've got on there is to check my rehab plants, the plants on my rehab shelf, ones that aren't doing particularly well, and just see if there's anything that I need to do to any of them. They're the ones that I typically just kind of forget about, if I'm being honest, because most of them are just kind of restarting and there's not usually a huge amount to be done, but I'm just going to go have a look at them. There might be some exciting updates that I can give you, so I'm going to do that first. And then we can move on to the thing that I think is going to be potentially a little bit challenging, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do. But I am going to leave the table set up like this just because I do plan on bringing that plant back over here. But yeah, let's go have a look at the rehab shelf. Look at you. Oh, you are so gorgeous. Yes, you are so gorgeous. So it's actually very rare that I film down here just because there's not a huge amount of space. But this is my little rehab shelf, and there's lots of things in bags, lots of things covered in cling film, lots of plants that are just not doing their best. So yeah, I'm just gonna take everything off the shelf, I think, just have a look at everything, see if there's any exciting updates to give you, see if there's anything that needs dealing with, anything that needs potting up and moving on to its next stage of life. And one of the things that I've got down here that I'm sorry, you will be getting a lot of updates on is my Philodendron esmeraldense, and I won't go through the full story because I know I keep banging on about it. But this plant, oh my goodness, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing so much. This plant has given me its second new leaf. Oh my goodness. Look at that. So this is the one where the node completely rotted and I thought it was absolutely doomed. but it is in the process of saving itself, which is very exciting. So I'm hoping now that it's giving me a second leaf, I'm hoping that it should start to form some little roots, and then hopefully I can at some point soon get it potted up and get a beautiful new plant going, because oh my God, that one is just so exciting to me at the moment. And one of the reasons I've put it down here on the rehab shelf is that my rehab areas can get a little bit neglected because they don't tend to give me the most exciting updates. So I was like, again, similar theory to my list. I was like, if I put something exciting that I want to check on with these plants, then I'll be over here more. And it's definitely working. Yeah, then I've also got, and to be honest, I've got so many corms of this plant, but this is a very sad looking Alocasia green shield. And I can't quite figure out what's going on with it, because that leaf almost looks a bit pesty, but I haven't been able to see any pests at all. And it's got a good root system. I think maybe, like, my thought is that perhaps it's because I took it out of the prop box and I didn't do a very good acclimation. I did just put it straight on the shelf instead of, like, I don't know, putting it in a bag or anything like that. So I'm hoping that maybe it is just adjusting. But we will wait and see. But as I say, I've got so many Alocasia green shield corms. So, and not that I want to lose this plant, but if I had to chop it right back, I wouldn't be too sad about it. Oh, and I can show you, I've got a couple of exciting things, but I can show you something that I've never shown you before, and it's very exciting indeed. And it kind of feeds into something that I wanted to tell you about as well. So this is all very exciting, but I'll show you it first. This is currently a little rehabby Anthurium warocquianum, and this is a plant that I said I wanted to try again with this year, and I am so unbelievably excited. Oh, it is a little bit cold damaged. But no, I'm so unbelievably excited to have been given the chance to try it again. This was very kindly sent to me by one of you guys, so thank you so much. I'm absolutely over the moon with it. But the reason I say that this feeds into something that I wanted to talk about is, if you have listened to my podcast, then you might be aware of this plant already. And the podcast idea, it was given to me, the idea was given to me by a lovely woman on my Patreon called Kaylee, and I have just decided to try a new area of content creation. And she was basically just saying that it would be useful to have something to listen to, that you don't always have to be watching if you're doing plant chores alongside stuff. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So yeah, I've recorded just kind of like a trial. I've called it the pilot podcast, or potcast, Ross's idea. But I've done a trial one over on my Patreon at the moment, and I've actually made that accessible to everybody, even if you're not a paid member. So I will link that below if you fancy having a listen to it, giving me some feedback. And I'm kind of thinking that moving forward, I'll probably use it to do more kind of like chats with potentially other creators, other people in the plant community, and maybe just more focused kind of Q&A type things. I did the pilot episode as just like a pottering round with plants and dealing with various plants, but this one was one of them. So yeah, it's something that I'm really excited about. I think it has really awesome potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So yes, as I say, I will link it down below. Any feedback is welcome. But this little one, if you listen to my podcast, then you will know it arrived with a little bit of cold damage. It was sent to Emma, and then Emma sent it to me. And I think it was just a little bit too much travel for this little one in such a short space of time. So I have repotted it. I've got it in a bag at the moment, and it is living on my little rehabby shelf, but it did have a very good root system. So although it's not looking as healthy as it could be at the moment, I feel like long term it's gonna be okay. I do hope. Not much of an update to I'm caught in my Alocasia Jacqueline. Not much of an update to give here, but this is the massive chunk that I divided from my Anthurium regal, and I can just see that it has got some really good roots in there, so that will be very interesting if that starts to grow for me. I've currently just put a little thing over the top of it to again increase humidity. I don't know if it really needs that at this stage. It probably doesn't, to be honest. And in fact, it might make the trunk more susceptible to rot, so I'm going to leave that off, actually. But apart from that, I've got loads of stuff down here, but the other one that I think I want to take a look at and potentially give you an update on, because everything else looks okay, is my Philodendron El Choco Red, and this is the one that I restarted at the beginning of the month. And although it hasn't given me, oh, in fact I can see it's a little something growing in it down there. I was going to say, although it hasn't given me any new growth yet, I have been very vigilantly checking this one for pests because it was because of spider mites that I chopped it back. And I can tell that this point here is starting to swell. So I'm hoping perhaps in the next, I don't know, in the next month, it might start giving me some new growth. And yeah, I've just currently got it potted in sphagnum moss. Again, it's been in a bag just for humidity. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it because I did not give it the love and attention it deserved the first time around. So when it starts to regrow, I'm very excited to grow this plant. But yeah, as I say, actually looking at everything else down here, I'm kind of happy with everything. I can't see any massive updates. I can't see anything I need to do or anything I particularly want to talk about. I don't think it's very interesting. But I can, however, just behind the camera see the next plants that I want to tackle. And this is going to be a little bit finicky. I know I said I might do it at the table. I'm thinking actually maybe I will do it on the floor because it's my big Alocasia portadora. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do it on the floor. Okay, this is one I've been putting off, but let's do it. So I'm excited to... I'm not excited to do this because I feel like it's going to be very finicky, but I'm excited to get this one going in the new way that I want to grow it because I know it is incredibly root bound and it is a plant that has been giving me so many issues. I've said in other videos, I feel like this is my last try with this plant just because it has been taken down by every single pest under the sun multiple times and I don't have time for that this year. But what I've done currently, I've just air layered the bottom section here because it is huge and I'm hoping that it should have started to put out maybe a few aerial roots. I did this I think about 3 weeks ago now. It might be too early, but it can't have done any harm. But also, as you can see, it has got a little baby there. So I'd like to divide the baby from the mother plant. And then my thoughts are, and I don't know if this is actually going to work, but I got these big 15 centimetre tall tower pots recently. And looking at it, I actually think it might be too small, but this is the biggest and tallest thing that I can find that still offers good drainage and allows me to grow in semi-hydroponics, which I very much want to do with this plant because I just love doing that with Alocasia, Colocasia. It makes my life a lot easier. So I think the first thing to do, I haven't filled the reservoir in a few days, so I'm hoping this should make it a little less messy. And trying to do this at the table I think is near impossible. So as I say, I am just gonna set up on the other floor. And then yeah, we can just get it out and see what we are working with. So in fact, I'm going to start by taking the cling film off the area that I've air layered. Firstly, just because I don't want the moss and the semi-hydro to mix, but also I'm just interested to see how quickly things might have started to happen. Or not. Things might not have started to happen at all. Okay, so far, nothing. That's what it's looking like. But my God, just look how big and chunky it is. So by using a taller pot, that's what I'm hoping will help to cover this and it will be able to start to root from that area. Oh, I can't remember if this is actually just potted very high in this pot or if it is just this chunky. and how much root pruning I might be able to do as well. I'm just going to actually move the moss over here. I mean, you know when you're using semi-hydro, if you hold it up and you go like that and it doesn't come out of the pot, you know it's going to be pretty root bound. So I think I'm going to have to, yeah, just tip some of this. Gradually try and ease it out. Oh my God, what the hell? Look at these. Look at that. That is just ridiculous. Oh my God, and besides the little baby I've got here, I can see more corms. I just saw that one there. I can see more corms just as I'm just superficially looking at this. So the good news is I'm going to be able to get lots of babies started, which are always great for things like plant swaps. This is I mean, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous Alocasia, and I do understand why it's so popular. Oh my God, there's so many corms. But yeah, it has just been a little bit of a struggle. Well, a little bit of a struggle plant for me, I think it is fair to say. I've said it before, but this is probably one of my oldest houseplants, but I've just chopped it back so many times. And it's just constantly been giving me grief. So yeah, a bit of a reset with this plant would be a very good thing. And by the looks of it as well, probably a pretty big root prune, because I think it can definitely afford to lose a few roots. And actually, by going through and doing what I'm doing here, just removing all of the corms in the soil, that is going to help the mother plants, because obviously at the moment she's trying to put lots of energy into creating new life, and by taking that away and propagating them, hopefully it should mean that she can just remain a little bit more focused on herself. So yeah, that's the little baby I've just removed. And it's gorgeous, but I know how quickly this one sizes up. So yeah, bring on the plant swaps. I can't even remember the last time I went through and gathered corms from this plant, but I am coming across so many, and some of them sadly have started to rot, so I think I should have probably done this sooner. Yeah, like under here. I don't know how well you can see on camera, but it's really, there's a lot of it, a lot of roots in fact that have started to rot as well. Yeah, as you can see up inside here, some of its roots are really, really sludgy. The good news is that there's loads of healthy roots here, and the rot, as I say, the rot hasn't spread to the rhizome at all. And any unhealthy, rotty roots are very easily pulling away. So I think actually this shouldn't be too much of a pain. I think I'm still going to give it a fair bit of pruning, but I don't think I need to worry about the plant, which is good. But genuinely, I've never seen so many corms in my life, and I've repotted some very root-bound Alocasias in the past. And while I'm doing this, just for fun, see if you can guess how many corms I've got. Comment it down below and we'll see who gets it right. Okay, that took a very long time, and oh my god, that was like a workout for my arms because this is so heavy. But that is what I'm left with, and I'm pretty sure that is predominantly healthy roots. I think what I'm going to do, I've tried to get as much of the semi-hydro off as I possibly can. I think I'm just going to go and give it a very quick rinse under the sink. In fact, before I do that, I also want to remove the base of these lower leaves. And I've said it before, but it's really important that if you're not wearing gloves, you wash your hands as soon as you've done this, because alocasias contain calcium oxalate crystals, and oh my goodness, it stings. When I say it stings, I'm not like, I was gonna say I'm not a wimp about these things. I am a pretty tough cookie, I would say, but it burned my hands so badly. So yes, I would highly recommend wearing gloves. And if you don't have gloves, go and wash your hands straight away. So yeah, that's what I'm left with. I'm gonna go give the roots a good rinse and my hands a good wash. Bear with. Fabulous. Okay, I am happy. So what I would like to do now is just pot this lower into a tall pot, because as you can see, all of the roots coming out of here are just what's been submerged in the substrate. And if I was to pot it higher, it would start putting out even more roots here. And in theory as well, what I could then do if it started to get too difficult to grow, because it is obviously very quick to grow, I could, if I was able to get this top section to root, I could then chop both sections in half, allow them to callus, and then grow the bottom section back and grow the top section back as a separate plant. And I have done that before, actually. Originally this plant was 3 of these when I first got it, and I'm left with 1 now, and I gave the others away just because I was like, I don't need 3 of them. They are crazy growers. So let's just hold it in this pot, because I think this is even going to be teetering on the small side, you know. It really is. It really is. It's too small. I really hope that might be enough. Okay, I need to go into the cupboard of chaos and see what I've got that I might be able to do with this, or else it's going to be the case of doing something DIY and makeshift. And I'm not sure what that would be yet. So let's have a look. One of the things I put on the list that I don't want to do was actually to organise that cupboard of chaos, and I'm thinking I might maybe try and do it today, maybe after lunch or something, if I have the strength for it, because it's so messy. But this is just the biggest pot in general that I've got. And to be honest, I think this is going to be the best shout for this plant. If I want to grow it in semi-hydro, which I don't have to, but then it's going to be a very big cover pot that I need in order to create a reservoir, and I don't have that currently. So it would, as I say, be the case of doing something DIY and makeshift. Unless I want to grow it in soil, which I have done before. Oh, one of my calatheas just moved. What do I want to do? Okay, I'm going to just let that thought sit with me for 1 second. I just realised I also didn't count the corms, and I would like to know how many there are. Yeah, I can't decide right now. So if you haven't cast your votes, do it now, and I will count. Okay, this is actually crazy. If we include that little one, I have got 28 corms. Oh, just dropped one, but look at all of those. Isn't that insane? Some of them are already starting to put out their own little root systems as well. And that one won't need much of a clean up. That one's lovely and kind of full and white, but these ones are a little bit brown, so I'm going to have to just give them a very gentle scrub under the tap before I start the propagation process with them. But okay, right. Now that I've done that and taken my mental break, I think I'm gonna grow this one. Okay, so here's my thought process. I would like to grow it in semi-hydro. I'm really getting on well with growing Alocasias in semi-hydroponics. It is the best thing that's worked for me. But what I've been growing it in currently is a very fine mix. And I think it would do better in a coarse mix, which I don't have currently. And it is actually, it's a pretty, despite its susceptibility to pests, it is a pretty resilient and hardy Alocasia. So I'm thinking maybe I go into soil with it, and then I won't need to create a reservoir pot. I can just grow in this for the time being. I think that's what I'm gonna do just for now. As I say, I can always change it up in the future should I want to. But yeah, for the time being, I think that's probably going to be the safest bet. Let's give it a go. As I say, I'm on my last kind of try with this plant. I may as well mix it up. And I haven't actually tried a tree fern fibre mix for Alocasias yet, but I've heard very good things. So again, I will try it out with this one. I'm just going to put some bark at the bottom of the pot, just so that soil doesn't all fall through every time I water. It still allows your plants to properly drain, but it just creates a little bit of a base so that you're not getting soil everywhere. Ooh, okay. Staying up by itself. There we go. So I've been able to pot it much lower down, meaning that hopefully lots of aerial roots on the top should be activated and keep this plant happy. And I can, as I say, now just kind of build it up a little bit because I haven't filled the soil right to the very top. I've got a little bit of space to fill up more. So yeah, that's apparently how I'm growing this plant for the time being. It's not how I was planning on it, but I think it'll keep it happy. And I've mixed in, as I say, some bark and some tree fern fibre, and I'm quite excited to try that with Alocasia actually, because I think it'll be a lovely mix for it. But yeah, I'm gonna just put this to one side, give it a good water through shortly. And then what's the next thing on my list? I'm thinking I could probably squeeze in something else now. So I'm whizzing through things actually, which is good. Okay, the next thing on my list is actually the cupboard of chaos. However, before I do the cupboard of chaos, I see something exciting. And it's right by the thing that I was gonna tackle. So I'm just gonna give you an exciting update and do one more planty repotty thing. And then we can do the cupboard of chaos. Say hello to everyone down there, Ross.
Hello to everyone down there, Ross. Funny if I wasn't wearing any shorts, wouldn't it?
Put that at the beginning of the video, no context.
No. So I'm just going to give them a couple of quick updates. Would you like to know the updates as well?
Oh, tell me all about it. Fascinating stuff.
So I got this Thanksgiving cactus at the last plant swap in London. Oh, sorry, Rose.
Full of hair.
And look, it's currently, in fact, that one's starting to die back annoyingly, but it's starting to flower for me, which is really exciting because I've never had a Thanksgiving cactus before. I haven't had one for a very long time. I think I had one a few years ago. But yeah, this happened literally out of the blue and I'm so excited about it. And then the other thing, that was the fun update. The thing that needs tackling fairly urgently is this one. And this is my Anthurium bulletus. And I know I said I thought I was turning a corner with this plant, and I'll walk you through it as we do it, but I think I'm going to attempt to completely reset this plant today and start again. But I can see Ross hovering there. Is it lunchtime?
Yes, I mean, that's a disgusting looking plant. You call yourself a plant person. I mean, Jesus, absolutely. You take advice from this person, honestly.
Oi! We're going to take a short lunch break, and then when we come back, we're going to be working on the Anthurium bulletus and the Cupboard of Chaos.
Stay tuned, plant lovers. I've got myself into the habit of making weird things.
What weird things are you making at the moment, Ross?
At the moment, well, I'm going to order... Why? Oh my God, you're on this, haven't you? I haven't even realised that you're doing stuff. Oh, this is hot and spicy. Hot and spicy?
Hot and spicy, yeah.
Hot and spicy, garlicky, fermented honey.
Ooh.
Which is kind of ready to go apparently, because it doesn't take too long to do honey. And then we're going to do a weird thing. We're going to put... I'm going to put egg yolks in it.
And cure them.
Cure egg yolks, and apparently that's like tasty, so they'll be like kind of more like candy type things.
Delicious.
So a bit of that, and then just weird to put in this. And then I want to make more hot sauce. Go with soup.
Ah, burn my hand. So we've just had lunch, and I thought while I've still got some energy, although I said I was going to do plant stuff first, I think I'm going to tackle the Cupboard of Chaos, and then I can just do nice planty things for the rest of the afternoon, because I think I've just got nice things left on my list after that. Hello, Yos, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, that's a good itch, isn't it? Hello. But we just had quite a funny thing happen at lunchtime. We're going to, long story short, we're going to my mum's house tomorrow evening because I need to practice my driving, and I thought I would drive us over there. And Ross is going to cook for her, and we decided to order a load of ingredients that he needed, and we just did it on Deliveroo. We got some stuff, and then we ended up kind of doing a little bit of a weekly shop. And the Deliveroo guy turned up, and bearing in mind we were expecting like loads of bags from Sainsbury's, and he just handed us a Subway sandwich, and we were just like, that's definitely not what we've ordered. Also, I should totally be tidying while I'm doing this. Woohoo, let's just move you over here. But yeah, we were like, that's definitely not what we've ordered. And he's like, well, this is all I've got. And we were like, no, we ordered from Sainsbury's. And he was like, no, this is definitely your sandwich. And this went on and on and on, to the point that I had to say to Ross, I was like, can you come out and can you help figure this out? Because we don't know what's going on. And honestly, I swear to God, after this poor guy must have just been having one of these days, but after 15 minutes, and he'd called Deliveroo and he'd said something like, I've got a Subway sandwich order and they say it's Sainsbury's. After he'd been on the phone to Deliveroo, he suddenly goes, oh, I've just remembered I've got a Sainsbury's order in my car. So yeah, he went down and he had our order all along, but we were literally like, my God, that is time that we are not getting back. So yeah, very eventful. Actually not that exciting of a story at all, is it? But it gave us a giggle. So, Cupboard of Chaos, let's try and make this fun. If you guys have got organising or cleaning or anything that you have been putting off doing, feel free to do this with me, because I hate doing the Cupboard of Chaos, but I'm really bad at staying on top of it. And I said in a video recently, I think, part of the reason why, it's definitely not the only reason, but come here, Yoli, because I haven't tidied up properly. She's just knocked the Anthurium bullatus over. All right, sweetie, settle down. But part of the reason why I think I'm struggling to stay on top is I've put this mesh wire in there, and as you can tell, it's very spiky, gets caught on everything, and this is what I use to make my moss poles. And so anytime I take anything in or out, it's getting caught on that and it's pulling stuff off shelves. And to be honest, I think the main thing I need to do is I need to get this out and probably keep it like underneath the sofa or something, because it is just not practical keeping it here. Yeah, it's got it caught on lots of other things. So yeah, that's the first thing I'm gonna do. And to be completely honest, I don't need this cupboard to be immaculate and spotless. I really don't. I just need to be able to see where everything is. So I'm not going to worry about doing like a ridiculous deep clean in here. I don't want it to be, as I say, I don't want it to be perfect. It would just feel good if by the end of this, I could just look at it and be like, cool. Okay, if I need to get in there, I'm not going to have to pull a million things out in order to do so. So yeah, most of the stuff that's on the shelves, I'm not sure how well you can see in there at the moment, but most of the stuff that's on the shelves has like a rough order to it. I mean, that is kind of like propagation containers, jars, cups, tubs, things that I've kept that I use, I kind of recycle. And then I've got pots down below. I've got a combination of plastic nursery pots and the ones that I've revamped. And then usually down the bottom is where I keep all my soils and substrates, and I've actually taken most of those, there are a few, most of those out. But this is all just stuff that's fallen or been shoved in there, and it doesn't have much structure or order to it at all. And I've got big containers like this that are technically useful and could make good things for plants, but I'm like, I should really like take the lid off there and put other things inside to save space. So yeah, I think that is what I'm gonna do, one shelf at a time. I've also got loads of colouring books, like adult colouring books, that either people have been giving away or people have been gifted, and at some point or another I've gone, I'll have them, because I find them fun when I'm on holiday, but I don't actually use them. So I think maybe I'll put these to one side. I mean, they're just things, the only reason I'm bringing them up is because I've got like 7 of them in here, and I think I'm gonna clear them out. I think sometimes like it's kind of like what people say about clothes. If you haven't worn something for like 5 months, then give it to charity. If I've got things that I've got and I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe at some point, I'm like, I could rebuy a colouring book if I wanted to. I typically am more of a drawer than a colourer as well. So yeah, charity pile. I know I was talking about pots that I found in charity shops recently, and this is one of the ones that I found. And it's very, I mean, it's very plain, but it's got a cool little pattern on it. And I think I got this for about 20p. So yeah, I as I say, will absolutely be thrifting more pots this year, because I found some amazing containers and things that I think are making my plants look beautiful. And I'm confident if I went to a garden centre and got something like this, I'd probably be looking at like, I don't know, easily 5 or 6 quid. So yeah, ways to save. Okay, it's far from perfect. I'm glad that I was filming it, because I think I probably would have given up if I hadn't been. It's far from perfect, but I can see what's what. I can get things easily. I've done things like stacking up my little, I say get things easily. I think I need to start using stuff up. I've stacked up all my pots and everything, so if I need to get in there and get to stuff, I can kind of do that. And yeah, at the moment, the bottom's very bare because I'm going to put all my soils and substrates down. But obviously, I'm currently working over here and I've created a mess here. So yeah, once I've done that, I will get everything back into the cupboard of chaos. But I'm feeling better about it. That feels like, I mean, that's absolutely knackered me out. I'm glad I did that first. But yeah, I'm glad that I got it done. And I'm glad that now I can just focus on plant stuff. So yeah, let's go tackle the Anthurium bullatus. It was looking sad before, but Yoli kicked it over and it's potentially looking worse now. So coming back, ow, just knelt on pon. Oh God, if you've ever done that, you'll know how painful it is. It's another reason to keep the house clean. But coming back to my Anthurium bullatus, annoyingly, I was gonna say earlier, I was like, it's got one leaf that I think is probably savable. And with the Yoli knock, I've just seen that that leaf has unfortunately snapped. So this plant is looking awful. So yeah, we're literally I'm gonna take it back to nothing and start it again and hope that it will just, as I say, mean that the plant can grow much better, much fuller, much healthier. And to be honest, I think one of the main reasons that this has happened with this plant is because I think I've just messed with it a bit too much. It's an Anthurium that I've really struggled to get my head around. I know I've said in other videos recently that as a genus, although I never think of myself as being like bad with Anthuriums, and I don't think I'm bad with them, there are just some types of Anthurium, some species of Anthurium within the genus that I have found really difficult compared to a lot of other plants, and this is definitely one of them. So yeah, I had this one up until recently in a semi-hydro mix. It was doing well, it started giving me lovely growth. In fact, I'm gonna take the box that the moss pole came in and I'm gonna empty soil into that. Yeah, it was doing good things, and why did I decide to put it back in soil? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember the exact reason, but anyway, it's a very basic soil mix that I've given it here, and it's not actually what the plant needs, I don't think. So yeah, I'm looking at it and I can see its roots are pretty dry. They're not awful, but not as good as they could be. So yeah, that's what the roots are looking like, and there's some sphagnum moss stuck around the roots as well. And to be honest, I know with a lot of plants I say don't put sphagnum moss in with them. With Anthuriums, it's kind of, so long as you're very careful not to overwater, it is kind of okay because they do like quite a mossy, chunky mix. But yeah, and as I say, most of these roots actually look fine. But it has got a very long main stalk stem. And I'm kind of tempted to do what I did with the Anthurium regal chunk that I showed you earlier in this video and kind of chop it in two and propagate two sections. Do I do that? Or do I try and get the plant back to health first and then do that? I don't think I'm quite mentally ready to chop it yet, so I think I'm gonna do that. But I'm gonna go in with the same sized pot, I think. I think that looks pretty good for that root system. It's got lots of breathing room still. And I was saying in my video, because I did a video all about resetting Anthuriums the other day, and I've heard really mixed things on whether or not they actually like being root bound. Because, like, as I say, I'm so prepared to try different things because I don't feel like I've struck the best balance with Anthuriums. But I always heard, up until quite recently, that Anthuriums actually, not like, they don't need to be root bound, they absolutely don't need to be, but if you're trying to get them to put out inflorescences, if you're trying to achieve bigger growth, then having them in a pot that is kind of teetering on the small side, I just mean snug, I don't mean like breaking out of the pot, but that's actually better. And with inflorescences, to me, that kind of makes sense, because in the same way as like a spider plant that's root bound will try and put out babies, that I kind of justified that in my mind. And I know some people call those stress flowers or stress blooms, and I think, to be honest, and that kind of is what it is, but it's more the plant kind of thinking, okay, well, if my life might be in danger, then I will try and reproduce. So yeah, that's what I'd heard up until recently. But I know a lot of you were saying, actually, no, they really like a lot more space than you would think. So I'm trying it. I'm mixing it up, and I'm trying it. I'm trying to give them a little bit more space, and I'm seeing how they respond. Basically, it's going to be the year of trial and error for my anthuriums, I think, because I feel like I have not been getting the best out of them, and I want that to change. I want that to change. The Bulletus is one that, although it has kind of been a little bit of a struggle one since I got it, to be honest, I don't feel ready to give up on just yet. I'm just looking at it because, as I say, it's very, very long. I'd like to be able to pot it a little bit lower, and I'm wondering if that's going to be possible. Ooh, okay. Okay, I am going to do a chop now, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay. So there's actually the main section there that is rooted beautifully, and I have got that little bit at the bottom. I don't know if it's substantial enough to give me new growth, but I'm gonna give it a go. This is pretty much exactly what I did with my Anthurium radicans recently, just because now I'm going to be able to pot that a little bit lower in the pot, whereas before it had that section that wasn't particularly serving it. So hopefully this will work a little bit better. And this is an Anthurium, from what I know about it so far, that does enjoy quite high levels of humidity. So in order to get it going again, I think standard, I will probably put it in a bag and put it onto my little rehabby shelf. I mean, to be honest, my rehab shelf is right next to my humidifier anyway, so I don't need to do that, but it just helps to kind of keep it safe and secure and less susceptible to environmental damage in the time that it's starting to grow back. I have found this one to be fairly fast growing, to be honest. I know I'm showing you it today kind of battered and broken with only 3 leaves, but compared to some of my other, especially velvet leaf anthuriums, it has been, in my opinion, a little bit quicker. The growth it's given me just does, however, seem to be more sensitive than some of my other types. So yeah. And I forgot to say as well, I'm just using a Soil Ninja orchid and anthurium mix, and I'm just mixing it through with some tree fern fibre. And last time I was very lazy and I mixed it in the pot, and in fact I did that with my Alocasia earlier today as well, but some of you were saying that's not the most effective way of doing it. I know it's not, I just get lazy, but I'm mixing it in this little Tupperware, kind of handful by handful today. I think if you're doing very thin layers and you get in there and kind of give it a mix with your fingers, I don't see why that wouldn't be good enough, but you know what? This is a struggle plant for me. Why not do everything right? And then, yeah, as it starts to grow upward, I will do what I've done with some of my other anthuriums, and I'll just put some sphagnum moss around the base to help to encourage it to root down. But currently, that is what it's looking like. Not a lot, but yeah, I'll keep you updated with that. I'll let you know how it gets on. And hopefully, I'll be able to get it back to health again soon. Oh, and while I'm here and I've got stuff out, I'm thinking I've got the little Alocasia portadora. Oh, in fact, already I can see its little root system. I just left that over lunch and I can see it starting to dry out. So I'm going to get this into my gutter saying sphagnum moss. And I think I'm going to take the sphagnum moss that I used to air layer the mother plant, and I think I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to get a little cup or container to do it in, which is now very easy to access because I know exactly where it is because I'm so organised. Right, yeah. As I say, I really, as much as I love the Alocasia portadora, I cannot fit more than one in my home if I want to try and get it to size up in the way it was before. So I think I will get this little one going and acclimated, and then I will either, depending on the weather, maybe try and swap it with someone for something, or take it to, as I said earlier, take it to a plant swap. I know there's lots of plant swaps coming up this year. So yeah, but I have just really been enjoying doing plant swaps so far this year. I haven't, apart from my pallidiflorum. Hello.
Oh, sorry, we're doing it again.
You're doing it again.
I'm thirsty.
Oh, dearie me.
Smells like bums in here.
Smells like bums.
Yeah.
Does it smell like bums? It could be fertiliser. Oh.
Yeah, that is it, isn't it? That your fertiliser smells.
It could
like
be
farts.
fertiliser, but it could also be the fact that earlier I repotted an Alocasia portadora and it had some rot down the bottom. Some of the corms had rotted.
Oh, lovely. There we
Yeah.
are. There's a risk for anyone trying to date a plant girl. They will smell like farts.
Most of the time it doesn't smell bad.
It smells like farts.
But yeah, that is that little one potted up. And I think I'm probably going to keep this one in my cabinet just because Alocasias typically respond very well to cabinet life. And as I say, I really shouldn't have left it out over lunch. I should have put it straight into something quite moist just to keep those little roots nice and healthy. But I have faith it will bounce back. So I've also got my 26, 27, I can't remember how many corms it was, but I've got them there, and I'm thinking I might just take them over to the sink and give them a little wash. And I know I've spoken before about how I propagate corms, and I might do a few doing the shallow water thing, but I'm kind of thinking, seeing as I've got so many of these, starting a little prop box might not be a bad idea. Because otherwise, I was going to say, just because with the little containers, like I showed you earlier, in fact, I'll grab one so I can show you. Yeah, so I've got loads and loads and loads of different Alocasia corms, and they're all in little containers like this with a tiny bit of water at the bottom. And that's typically how I get them sprouting. I do sometimes do them in a prop box, and I was just about to say I could obviously do all of these in these containers. I have got enough of these containers to do, like, if I do a few per container. But the thing is, if one starts to rot, the likelihood is it will bring down the other ones in here quite quickly if I don't catch it soon enough. So if I did, oh, I just knocked the little baby again. If I did a sphagnum moss propagation box or something for some of them, and then did some individually, then I think that would probably be the best shout. But yeah, cool. Let's give them a wash off, try and get as much of the brown off as we can, and then we can get them going. And sometimes the brown outer skin is really hard to get off. Like this one is proving very, very, very difficult, and you can kind of scrape it off, but then you almost need to allow it to callus, because if you don't, then again, it could make it more susceptible to rot. But what I have found is typically if you just keep these ones individually and not in water with others, sometimes once they start to kind of like give you roots, give you new growth, it's easier to kind of just pick it off because they're a little bit more, I want to use the word supple. I don't think that's the right way of saying it, but yeah, so I'm just going to give them as good of a rinse as I can, but it does just look like these are more prone to being very dark. Yeah, scraping it off is almost impossible, to be honest. You know what I'm going to try? I just had a thought. I'm going to try giving them a little scrub with a nail brush. Never done this before. Yeah, let's see if this works. It doesn't feel like it's done a huge amount doing it that way, but I don't see any harm that can be done in just getting off any, like, if there's just any, I want to like say skin, I'm sure there's a more technical term, but do you know what I mean? Any of the brown kind of outer layer, even if it just removes that, like if you compare that one, which I've just kind of cleaned up, to that one, which I haven't, I feel like it's kind of doing the job. I'm just going to have to keep a very close eye on these ones to make sure they don't rot. Okay, I have a feeling this might actually be a little bit easier if I soaked them first. I'm getting there, but I'm not even halfway through and this is taking forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these corms just in the sink. I've just got lukewarm water in there. I'm going to just leave them to soak and hopefully allow some of the outer layer to just, I don't know, just loosen up a little bit. And I'm going to make a little prop box for these ones. So I've got a little Tupperware box and oh, I've left the bag of sphagnum moss open and it's actually gotten quite dry. I'm going to have to rehydrate it. But yeah, I'm just going to do a thin layer on the bottom. And as I say, that is quite dry, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of water. You don't want it soaking wet because then that makes everything in there more likely to rot, but as I say, if you put it in dry moss, there's literally no point. Cool, so now I'm just going to lay the corms that I've just cleaned on top of it. And if there's a really obvious top or bottom, like for example, with that one, you can see very clearly that that's the top because it's almost starting to sprout, then obviously pop it in that way up. But if you're not quite sure, in my experience, just putting it on its side is fine. Because once it gets into that humid environment, it's going to start sending out roots, usually quite quickly. But as I say, especially when doing them in organic matter like sphagnum moss, just keeping a very close eye on them is a good idea because they can rot. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. And I'm just going to cover that in cling film and put it by a window. So yeah, keep it somewhere fairly light, fairly warm. And to be honest, I would hope, assuming nothing goes wrong, I would hope that these ones would start to root in the next few weeks. I will let you know. Cool. So I'm just going to cover them up so they are airtight. And then in fact, from the last time I used them, I've still got some labels here. I'm just going to tear off a little bit of a label. I've got so many propagating now, I'm trying to get better at staying on top of things, as you might be able to tell. So I'm just going to grab a pen and write a little label so I don't forget what they are. There we go. You can read my very messy writing. Perfect. I'm going to just pop them over by the window with all of my other ones. I just noticed my variegated Alocasia fry deck looking very droopy, and I completely forgot to fill up her reservoir when I did the other ones the other day. So I'm just gonna do that very desperately. Perfect. And then the last thing that I'm gonna make myself do is just once again give this room a bit of a tidy up because I have made a mess. The good thing is most of this is now going to be able to go back into my nice organised cupboard. But yeah, I know I will feel so much better if I actually do it now instead of leave it until later. So yeah, let's go. Amazing. I'm pretty happy with the level of clean and tidiness, and Yoli's also, this is good timing because she's also looking like she's ready to go out for a walk. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you want more like this, let me know in the comments and I will 100% make more because these are genuinely one of the things that's helping to keep me motivated at the moment. What are you doing? What are you doing? So yeah, it's fun that we could do it together, and as always, if you were doing stuff along with this video, I hope you got lots done. And if you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.